songs of joy on this lovely day. On this lovely day. Singing songs of joy. Oh, oh, oh. No people come to Jamaica and not know how we live things. Say everything nice too, we full of vibes and thing. Them same one feel it to them heart when them get few understand the real thing. Yeah, me day at town one day, up with a white man we come all the way from Norway, and him turn to me and say, how comes Jamaica full of so much screw face? Same time he lift me head to the sky.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. We will start in the next 4 minutes. Next 4 minutes at 7. We'll begin. Thank you.
Do you see anything to smile about? Look at that child here. Do you see anything to smile about? Look at the schools where you them go forget them education. Do you see anything to smile about? Look at the conditions of our police stations. Do you see anything to smile about? No. Same time the brother said, how can the nation be living this way? And the next thing him said, how can the government play so many games? Same time my heart fall to the ground, cause there's much more where that comes from. Certain place they are worse than slum. Youth man come and take a look on Riverton. Do you see anything to smile about? Look on Pienland, yeah. Do you see anything to smile about? Flankers Mobe and Cyprus Heights in Spain. Do you see anything to smile about? What flats Kent or Motown, they're all the same. Do you see anything to smile about? No, no. No, 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 no. Oh, no, no. Oh, no, no. No, when me say, no people come to Jamaica and not know how we live things. Say everything nice too, we full of vibes and things. Them same one feel it to them heart when them get for you overstand the real thing. When them look on the gully side, them no see nothing they fi smile about. When them look on a hungry child, yeah. Them no see nothing they fi smile about. When them look on the schools where the youth them got to get them education, them no see nothing they fi smile about. When them sight up the condition of the police station, them no see nothing they fi smile about. My story say, me day at town one day, I par with a white man we come all the way from Norway. And him turn to me and say, how comes Jamaica full of so much screw face? Same time he lift me head to the sky, and a teardrop fall from me high. Me say my youth come with God for a drive. Let me show you why me cry. Take a look on Riverton. Do you see anything to smile about? Look on Pienland, yeah. Do you see anything to smile about? Canterbury, my bed, March Ben Road over Spain. Do you see anything to smile about? No flicker players, they are in a jam down today. With nothing not there to smile about. No, no. No, 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 no. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Going on.
killer. Well, I see son them grow. Oh, I know me can't see. No matter how me try to do it, me can't sleep. I hear gunshot a beat, me can't sleep. No matter how me try to do it, me can't sleep. I hear blood in the streets. Them a youth on the play every single day. Them a bit on them waist, and if you talk too hard, then them shoot out the face. Tell me what I want, me a beg gonna keep it calm. Cause the real know are real, and I kick up and I go on, it's like a gun stamp.
Yep. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, can you please stand for the national anthem of Trinidad and Tobago? Keep standing, we now have a prayer.
A'udhu billahi minash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin.
Thank you. You may have your seats. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jerome Lewis. I'll be walking you through tonight's program. And first of all, let me welcome all of you to this budget consultation here at the Brazil Secondary School. For those of you who have been following the budget consultations of the United National Congress, I think we have surpassed over 20. And tonight, this one is considered the premier event because it's in one of the biggest constituencies in the country, and I think you should give yourselves a nice round of applause for that and for coming out in your huge numbers here tonight. We are live streaming on the unc.tt.org live stream. Tonight as well, ladies and gentlemen, we have two powerful speakers lined up. But just before we get into our first speaker, many of you who have come here tonight, and I've been moving around looking at the price of foodstuff in this town. And, you know, for those of you who drive, it used to cost like about $70 to fill the tank. Now that is about $300 you're paying for it. If you look at the food stuff at the supermarkets,
a pack of biscuits is like $5. That used to be like $1.50. And you look at all the other kinds of food stuff, basic food items are way sky high, out of the reach of the ordinary citizen. And the United National Congress, not just tonight, but over the past few years, has been going around to every constituency, getting the views from regular citizens, people like you here in the audience, farmers, business people, teachers, doctors, lawyers, the ordinary person, just to get a sense of what you would want to see inside of a budget. Now, many of you will remember last year, the leader of the opposition spent over 3 hours in a marathon session in a response to the budget. It was unprecedented. A lot of the information in that response, ladies and gentlemen, came from the ordinary people like you who are here tonight to present your ideas, give us your views, suggestions, as well as different comments on what you think we should have for budget 2024-25. It affects everyone, from the maxi worker to the farmer to the person who works in a bar. This is very, very critical, and it's all part of the high political stakes in the country. Coming to speak to you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is someone who lives in Las Lomas, one of yours. She holds a PhD in economic development policy. And tonight, what she's going to talk about, she's breaking down the budget in different sections, and she's going to do it in fine detail so that you can understand. Healthcare, education, national security. She's also the chairperson of one of the newly minted party groups in the La Horquetta, Talparo constituency, and I think you should give her a round of applause for that. New chairperson. She has a master's in economics, financial development and economic growth in the Caribbean. That's big business. She has been in that for quite some time. She also has a Bachelor of Science in Economics and Management Studies, first-class honors. Currently, she teaches advanced placement, macroeconomics, and microeconomics, entrepreneurial studies, individuals, and societies. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium tonight to deliver her own take on the budget. Let's welcome Dr. Varuna Lana Ramlal-Bandoo.
Good evening, La Horquetta, Talparo. I want to hear you all do better than that, man. Watch how much people here. Good evening. I thank you all for coming out, and I want to begin right away. I have to give some apologies. I'm just recovering from the cold, so I have a little bit of a cough, so I might have to stop time to time to cough. But I want to start off by talking about what is a budget. I think everybody here knows about budgeting and planning. And a budget really is just a plan for how we spend money, and of course, the major part, how we earn money. How do we use the money that we have, our income? And that's personal budgeting. And we do that on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. All of us, right? You all agree? Right, but a national budget now, what is that? A national budget is a plan for how the economy, the country, is going to have money coming in the form of taxes, in the form of exports, income, and how they're going to spend money on us. And you know why they call it taxpayers' dollars? Because a big part of the money that the government gets is from our taxes, our taxpayers' dollars. And so therefore, I think that it is only fair that we have a large part to see how that money should be spent for our benefit. What you all think? Right, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So some of the key things that I want us to think about, as Mr. Lewis gave me that nice introduction, thank you so much. I want to start off with healthcare, because I think that's very important for people. People need to be healthy to be productive. We need to be productive to achieve economic growth, to have good budgeting. What is the major thing facing healthcare right now? We have a crisis in terms of dengue hemorrhagic fever. And one of the things that I think that should be budgeted for in this upcoming budget is not just a reactive approach to dengue. Because right now, hospitals are full. There are no beds. My sister herself is a doctor, and she told me, Gail, people just have to spend the night on a chair. Imagine you sick, falling down, and you have to spend the night on a chair. That's fair? No. So we need to be proactive as well in dealing with things like dengue. Before it happens, deal with it. Spray. Clean out the major road waterways. Cut the grass. Educate people on what it means to make sure and not have these things piling up with stagnant water and mosquitoes everywhere. Teach people, teach children in the schools about applying insect repellent, about spraying, about telling the parents, Mommy, don't leave that basin outside to catch water because mosquitoes are going to breed in it, right? We have to start as young as that. In that aspect, healthcare, of course, is tied to education. Another thing I want to talk about specific to the La Horquetta Talparo region is health centers and hospitals. Now, as Mr. Lewis said, I live in Las Lomas, and we have a health center there that is severely underutilized, in my opinion. Many years now I've been hearing it's going to be open 7 days a week, and up to now, only 2 days a week. It's a nice building. We have nice nurses, everything, but it's only open 2 days a week. And Las Lomas is a big population. I feel it should be open 7 days. What do you all think? Right. Another thing I want to think about in the health area is mental health. And I think the government really needs to spend some money and some time and some resources on removing the stigma attached to mental health issues and helping the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago deal with mental health issues, providing more access to therapy, providing more medication where needed, helping people to normalize saying, I have a mental health issue and I need to take a day off for that. I have a mental health issue and I need help. Don't wait until people commit violent acts against each other, because as we know, violence and crime is another major thing plaguing our community and our country. You all agree? Good. Another thing, I forgot to mention, one of the major things in economics is efficiency and an efficient allocation of resources. So when we're talking about a budget, we don't necessarily want them to allocate more money. We want them to allocate the money in a better way, to use resources in a better way. Like how I mentioned the Las Lomas Health Center. That is, we're not using that resource to the fullest, you know, and we want to do that in our budget. I want to also speak about education. Now, if I were the Minister of Finance, I would definitely give people school books. You all see the price of school books? School going to open just now. What about those laptops that the UNC used to give? You all feel that was good? I feel that was real good, because now children have to learn how to use technology, and they have to learn how to use it safely in a school environment. And they need to be able to bring it home and show their parents, their grandparents, hey, look, learn how to do this. Now think about it, even banking now is on the internet, you know. You could open a bank account on the internet now. So students need to learn this, children need to learn this, adults need to learn this. So in the education aspect, it's not just students. We need to be able to continue to educate our adults too. We have to have programs that reach them, that teach them how to do their internet banking safely, for example. how to conduct transactions safely, how to be able to realize so many people get trapped down by doing these Facebook transactions, how to be safe when conducting those types of transactions. That is another big part of education. Another thing I want to touch on is skills training. Not everybody cut out to be a doctor or a lawyer. But did anybody here ever need a plumber in the house? Me? Yeah? What about masons? What about carpenters? We need all these people. What about a mechanic now? Everybody does need a mechanic. So we need to give people honor when they choose these skills. And they'll say, oh God, he don't see head. He can't do maths, nah? He can't do maths. No, don't do that. Give people honor when you're training them. Teach them these skills and teach them independence, because these mechanics, these plumbers, these carpenters are entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs help to fuel an economy. Entrepreneurship is one of the 4 major factors of production, just like labor, just like people, just like land, just like physical capital. And that's what we need to have the budget put attention to. So it may not be necessary that they allocate more money, but the money must be allocated more efficiently. I would also like to touch on the issue of national security and crime. And all areas in Trinidad and Tobago are facing threats of crime. And in Horquetta, Talparo, we know we face that issue significantly. People feel afraid to leave their houses. People who don't have fences feel afraid to stand in their own front yard. People feel afraid to come home late at night. I, as a woman, I don't like to go anywhere late at night by myself. And that is terrible. We should feel free to take public transport whatever time we want. When we go in foreign countries, that's the norm, you know. People take public transport all 12 o'clock in the night and nothing happened to them. Why that must happen in our country? It shouldn't be so. We need more money and more resources allocated to police patrols in all areas, but I'm speaking specifically about Horquetta, Talparo. We need that. We need police patrols in the areas to help our people feel safe again. And not just the people, we need that to help our businesses feel safe again. There is an added cost of doing business now because they have to invest in cameras, they have to hire security guards, they have to have those buzzer doors, they have to have all sorts of fancy fences and equipment to help protect their businesses. Business people have to feel unsafe when they're removing the cash. They have to have armed personnel with them. It should not be like that. As I said, entrepreneurship and businesses fuel the economy. They help promote growth. Crime is a major issue that we need to deal with. Another thing I think might be a good initiative might be to put body cams on police officers. And that protects not just the police officer, but us, the citizens. And it also is an efficient use of resources because it will cut down on court time. It's not a he say, she say. You have the video evidence, you use it. That is it. People will be more accountable. Police officers will be more accountable. And another one is people are willing to have self-protection. People want to have legal guns to be able to protect themselves. And that's something I know our political leader is promoting, so I don't want to touch on that too much. It's something that we have to think about for the future. Agriculture is another major aspect, but the next presenter will talk about that in more detail. I just want to touch on the major things like predial larceny. That's something that plagues farmers in the area. We are in a big agricultural chain here, belt. We need farmer support for when they're facing issues like, you know, that area floods. How can you help support the farmers and help them not face that flooding situation? How can you help them with the issue of snails? Anybody has snails in their yard? I have real plenty. And even if I put a snail bait, they're coming back. Those things. Youths need to get involved in agriculture. And as I said, I know the next speaker will talk about that more, so I'm leaving that there for now. I want to talk about infrastructure in Horquetta, Talparo, and the need for better roads. Just coming up in the Maxi, I was having a discussion with somebody about Ramu trees. And she was telling me that the front part of the road is paved and the part that leads out to the main road, but the middle, she said there's about a quarter mile there that is just basically impassable. And it's such a nice road, a good shortcut, a nice place to walk when you're exercising. And those things need to be addressed. I find most of our roads here in La Horquetta, Talparo are bad. And we have culverts with pieces of bamboo on the side. You're afraid if you go a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, you'll fall inside the thing, you know? It's not good. We need help with that. On top of that now, there's a part where they pave the road, and WASA come and dig it up to give people connection, and they fix it back. We need efficient allocation of resources. We need resources allocated to public transport. I know specifically in the Las Lomas area, there was a public bus from Las Lomas straight to Curep. $3. What do you all think about that fare? Good, because at that time, my husband said it would have cost them $5 to Canupia and a further $5 to Curep, so that is $10. And you're comparing that with the $3. And those things have been stopped. Why? Why has it been stopped? Especially now when fuel costs are so high. We need help with public transport. We need safe public transport too. There are a few other issues I want to touch on, like Mr. Lewis mentioned, inflation and high food prices. That is affecting all of us. There's the issue of the property tax and housing access for people. And as I said before, the way our government earns money is, yes, part of it is through taxes, but I have a famous quote here by Winston Churchill, and I want you all to really think about this. For a nation to try to tax itself into prosperity is like a man standing in a bucket and trying to lift himself up by the handle. You all feel that will work out? No, it wouldn't work out. So we need to think about things like that too. The government needs to think about things like that when they're looking at the budget. Another thing I want to think about is the issue of unemployment and underemployment. Underemployment is when you have somebody with a degree, but they can't get a job except working at KFC. So they're not getting jobs suited to their self, to their skills. And we have to create more jobs for people who have skills. Just recently, I was told that we had 200 doctors who graduated and they cannot yet find jobs. Now hear this, all you ever went through Mount Hope? Think about all that wasted space, land space. We have people who need hospital beds, we have doctors who need jobs. What do you think they should do? Build some buildings, right? We have beds and we have doctors to help the people. That is an efficient use of resources. I think that is what should be done. Now, I see my time is running out, but in closing, I want to say, I love Trinidad and Tobago. You all love Trinidad and Tobago? Our culture is rich. We have flora and fauna that they long for all over the world. Our cocoa and coffee is the best. People have a natural love for each other. You go by a friend, an unexpected visit, they give you food, they give you something to drink, they give you something from the garden. Don't talk about if you go to a birthday party or a praise, you get a whole thing, a big thing, a bag of thing to carry home for food for the next day. The natural love our people have for each other, we have to continue that. Some people say migration is the best bet for people to get a better life. I do not think so. I think we have to stay here and continue to build Trinidad and Tobago. And what I want you all to do is make suggestions for how you think this government should be held accountable by you, the people, because the people have the power to help the government to change and make a better Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you.
Got to find a solution to this pollution. Got to find a solution to this pollution. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bandoo. Let's give her a round of applause again. And I think it's great to see when someone from your community can come forward and advocate on all these issues that affect the very people who live here and in the surrounding areas. And there's just one point she made that I just wanted to reiterate. When you talked about the young people working at these fast food outlets. That's true. And part of the problem is that those fast food outlets pay just sometimes below or the minimum wage, which is not a living wage. And that's why you have all this crime could be spiraling from that. And we got to look at that, because young people, maybe between, say, 18, 19, 20, should be involved in science, computer work, logistics, robotics, AI, not inside a KFC. You're quite right. We're moving on to someone who I heard before at one of our crime forums, and I didn't realize it was him until I spoke to him earlier on. He has what I would consider, practical experience as a farmer. He has one of the most sophisticated farms in Trinidad and Tobago. By far, he is the only local farmer to leverage an entire value chain in milk. That is to say, this guy, he takes the cow's milk and he can do cheese, he can do yogurt, he can do ghee, butter, and a host of things. And he is a major entrepreneur. In fact, he is the managing director of his family-owned business, Farm Fresh Dairy Products. So, ladies and gentlemen, here is someone who knows hello Khadija. He is someone who knows the farming industry inside out. And he's here tonight to present what I consider to be the best practical case. So if you're a farmer, you got to listen to him. Let's welcome Mr. Donnie Rogers.
Got to find a solution to this pollution. Got to find a solution to this pollution.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for having me. With all protocols observed, this constituency is special to me because I first became involved in this constituency in one of the best projects the youths in this country and constituency ever were involved in. And that is a project that was led by Senator John, and it's called Project Hope. Well, in response to that, I wouldn't ask, let me see the hands of everybody who remember that, because clearly it touched the lives of everyone inside of here. Project Hope was where at least 30 young guys from the area who would have had nothing to do otherwise were deployed and physically put where they were learned the principles of agriculture, farming, and agripreneurship. Agripreneurship may be familiar to those guys, but everybody else, it's the business of agriculture. That project was done under the context of all hands on deck. I don't care about your past, let's get it done. And that is why it was successful. There was no discrimination. It wasn't black, white, Indian, Chinese. It was come here, let's create change. And that is why it was successful. Unfortunately, they were met with one morning a fence and a sign that said, no farming. You all can remember that sign? So instead of developing the youths and developing that project to work in other communities, it was shut down. And that is something that would haunt the administration to this day. So let's look at agriculture now from the countrywide perspective. Let me see by a show of hands, all those who think that food prices are just too high. Good. You know, and I can't even say locally produced items, because would you believe we are importing tomatoes from Costa Rica? We are importing tomatoes from Costa Rica. Over the past 9 years, agricultural production in this country has been on a steady decline. Every year, it kept getting lower and lower and lower, to the extent where now we produce less than 7% of the milk that we consume. Less than. Everything else is imported. And we produce, you know, we're talking about rice mill and things like that, right? But we produce less than 3% of the rice that we consume in this country. So when you're hearing about a rice mill, I would say we have a rice mill that is not fulfilling its purpose in Carson Field. Put that money into a sustainable project that could develop the youths, that could develop people who would more be predisposed to crime, develop them into someone who can become productive in society, and take model after Project Hope, because that was the model that was working. When Project Hope was running, none of the phases in La Horquetta were fighting against each other. I was lecturing to these guys, and what I was hearing is the conversation in these guys where they're thinking, okay, one guy in one phase saying, well, I would have a little agro shop. Someone else saying, well, I will do seedlings. So immediately they started to lean on each other in order to succeed, not fight each other. And that was the basis of success. I remember the morning when they reaped their produce and was selling. And I've never seen morale that high in my life. Everybody, you swear to God they win $1 million. Right? And I've seen somebody heads here and they're shaking their heads. It's nice to see you guys again. It was a euphoric moment, and that was taken away. That should have been the project, that should have been the mold that would have taken the youths of this country further, and which would have helped to increase agricultural production so that we're not paying $15, $20, and $25 a pound for basic items. And the thing is, certain items being imported, not because it cannot be grown. We grow tomatoes. But as I just told Jerome, the problem is we are not growing enough. And why we are not growing enough? Because farmers in this country are not enabled to really leverage on their farms and their properties optimally. Farmers have been at the mercy of the criminal elements as it relates to pre-deal larceny. And I always say that we need to review pre-deal larceny and that classification, because when we look at it and when we read the reports in the papers, it's not just the stealing of produce. They're beating farmers, they're robbing them, they're hog tying them, they're killing them, chopping them, torturing them. That is not pre-deal larceny. And that has to be classified for what it is. And recognition is the first way to dealing with a problem. And we need to recognize what it is going on here. And this problem has been left to increase to a level where a farmer who I knew was killed and his father was shot. And people who I interact with on a daily basis. Last year, in the budget, the Honorable Minister of Finance indicated that our food import bill was $7.3 billion. And just a few years ago, it was, I believe, 5.2, just probably about 2 or 3 years ago. And if we are to continue in this trend, we are going to end up in a situation where our food becomes too expensive and our food import bill is just too high for any budget to correct. And let me just give you a small example of what can happen if you don't correct shortages in your food import bill or in your local production, more so your local production. Recently, I was in St. Lucia on a research project, and going through the supermarkets, and I saw hot peppers. When I converted the prices, when we converted to TT dollars, is 70 TT dollars a pound for hot peppers. Who in this crowd think we could survive prices at that level? And it will reach there if we do nothing. It will reach there if there is no sustainable plan, if the farmers are not enabled to truly go outside there and produce, if the farmers operate in an environment where they are being stifled. It's a simple thing. We talk about incentives, and we get all sorts of nice press releases. There's so much $1 million of incentives for farmers. Statistically, over 65% of farmers locally do not have land tenure. And I know this is a very large farming community, and I am sure that is the issue with most of the farmers here today. You do not have land tenure for one reason or the other. But in order to access the incentive, you must have land tenure to get your farmer's badge. And if you don't have that, you could have $1 million in crops. You lose it, that is it, too bad. But you know the funny thing, during COVID, all the farmers who didn't have land tenure, who didn't have food badge, they stepped up and they fed the country. They stepped up and they fed the country. They were recognized only for a certain period, and then it's like, you know, the farmers disappeared, right? And the solution to our food import bill is not an overly complicated one. It's very simple by just employing a proper and sustainable plan. By enabling farmers not just to produce milk, or not just to produce meat, but to add value in it. When you add value is where you make more money. For a vegetable farmer, if you just sell into a wholesaler, like, you know, there's a conversation on social media now where you're seeing squash for $50-something, but farmers selling it for maybe $2 at best, right? If you promote farmers by means of training and enabling them to actually add value, cut it up, put it in a tray under sanitary conditions, get a contract with the supermarket, the farmer could earn more money. The supermarket now would have a better product because it coming directly from the farmer into the supermarket. It not staying anywhere for any days, so you're getting fresh product, you're getting fresh produce at a very good price. And this is where we can start to relieve the high prices we have in Trinidad. A simple thing like plantains. Over 7 years, the price of plantains increased by 142%. Right? In just a few years, 2-3 years, it increased by 142%. And that is not the road that a country like Trinidad and Tobago should go down. Driving up here, you still see the remnants of all the cocoa and coffee trees. You all remember, I think the older heads would remember, here had the #1 tobacco farm that used to supply Whitco. Right? And that is where Whitco used to get the tobacco from. So La Horquetta Talparo is historically the center for the cash crops in this country. And that is no more, unfortunately. But I can tell you one thing. See that lady sitting down there? She have a plan. We talk regularly, you know, she's real busy and things like that. But she have a plan. And if she have it your way, her way, all that will change. I know for a fact, because we work together, all that will change. La Horquetta can be the new breadbasket of Trinidad and Tobago and contribute to lower prices throughout. But it takes change. It takes will. As what Doc was saying there about entrepreneurs, we have 25,000 farmers in this country. Petrotrin was about 9 or 10,000. Can you imagine if these 25,000 people stop business? It's going to be worse than Petrotrin and Caroni combined. Are we really going to survive that? The answer is no. I ask you to think about how this change can be effected and why it is necessary at this point. Because if a change is not made now, we will reach a stage in a few years where the basic items will not be able to be afforded. Already we are seeing prices holding higher for a longer period. After Diwali, after Christmas, something like that, you see the price drop. Not so. That has not happened. It did not happen this year. And unfortunately, prices just go up. It don't really go down, right? So we need to be careful of where we are headed, and we need to create change. So thank you for your time. I look forward to your questions. Have a good night.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rogers. Let's give him a nice round of applause again for that wonderful presentation. Just want to welcome with us tonight as well, I think I saw Senator Naked somewhere at the back. He's here. Let's welcome David Naked. And the MP for St. Augustine, Khadija Ramian. Yes, welcome. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker, I've known her for quite some time. She tells me, well, you're going to take 2 minutes. And in 2019, we walked the entire constituency, all the way up to Mondo Nuevo, Carapo, here in Brazil, down in La Horquetta, Las Lomas. At the time, there was not a lot of enthusiasm in the seat because it was felt that, it was safe. But when I look at the huge numbers here tonight, and I'm told that our online stream is huge as well, I don't think this seat is anytime safe come 2025. I think we have a good chance to pull this off, thanks to the energy of our innovative manager, who's coming to speak to you next. This lady, ladies and gentlemen, was a former managing director of the HDC. Now, what is in all of this? The big deal is that she gave out 100 houses per week. 100 houses per week. And she did all that with local labor. Now I'm seeing the government is giving a contract to a Chinese company to do the same thing that she did with local labor. That's how good she is. She studied at the National University of Singapore. And aside from being the HDC managing director, she built up all across this country the Rituals brand, the Pizza Boys brand, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but way up the islands. If you go to St. Lucia, as you enter the airport, there's a Rituals right there, and it's spread all across the island. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, this gathering was put together by her and her team And I can tell you that last week, when I came up here Saturday, she was doing a lot of work in some different areas. But I've seen her take this La Horquetta Talparo constituency, which is up for grabs in 2025, and turn it around. And we have a good shot in 2025, and I want you to welcome with a big round of applause. Big one. Senator Jerlene John, your senator.
Talparo, sign, seal, deliver. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. I want to thank my beloved friend, Mr. Jerome. He now lives in Florida. He was leaving on Monday, but I begged him to stay to chair this meeting for us. I want to thank Jerome so much for that. So he leaves tomorrow. I want to thank our Honorable Northeast Coordinator, the Honorable Member of Parliament for St. Augustine, Ms. Khadija Amin. Thank you. I'm seeing the world's most worthless senator. You think I was afraid? I know in La Horquetta Talparo I could say what I want. Senator David Nakid. Welcome, Senator David Nakid. And I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, so much for coming out here to listen to what we had to say. I thank our very brilliant and relatable presenters, Mrs. Varuna, Ramlal-Bandoo. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And of course, Mr. Donnie Rogers, a man with a lot of heart and who loves us and loves this constituency so much. Thank you, Donnie. And our beautiful NHT team, there's nobody like you. Somebody was asking me, you all have a lot of people. I said, that's how we roll. You know? My mother is looking at us right now from Houston, Texas. And I told her everything is bigger in Texas and LHT. Thank you so much. Thank you. So our presenters have shared with you about the budget, what it means, and we try to make it local for La Horquetta Talparo, so that it means something for you in terms of what can be done here, what is missing here, what is so beautiful about being in this space, that there is no magic. And the way our government tried to make it hard, it ain't so hard. It's not that hard. Problems can be solved. As Dr. Bandoo said, her sister, a medical doctor, she's looking at people sitting on chairs, but she said for one day. Up to last week, I heard about people sitting at Mount Hope for 3 days. What is wrong? It's a lack of capacity, both in terms of space and both in terms of doctors. And somehow we can't close that gap, because what I do know is that we have about 400 doctors at home right now waiting for a job. They have a lot of them on very short-term contracts, 3 months. The people who go and study medicine are our brightest and our best. They study for 7 years. Well, no, sorry, I think it's 5 years, and then they do a specialization for 7 years. So they spend their life studying, only to come back here to sleep. So we have a mismatch. It's either a mismatch of human resource and opportunity, or a mismatch of our government and what is needed in this country right now. You see, when the government reads the next budget, and really, you look at a budget, it's not different to what you have in your home. We say the government budget, we call it macroeconomics. And I'm not going to teach you economics. I did finance and accounting. Dr. Bandoo is the one who did economics. So if I make an error, don't correct me here. You know, she's a teacher too. But what the government does is macroeconomics. And we in our house, when we earn our salaries and we come home and we allocate people money, for mortgage or rent, car payment, food, school shoes for the children, the water rate, whatever our bills, the bills that come in every month, or the bills that come in infrequently, like perhaps some people have a bill in a 3-month cycle, as the case might be. But whatever that is, we call that the macroeconomics. So really and truly is only what you get, you could spend. Because what you get is finite. It doesn't stretch with elastic. It is finite. So you can only spend what you have. And over the last 9 years, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, currently, they have been in office for 9 years now, just about. So they have read 9 budgets, adding up roughly to $500 billion. You know it's $500 billion? Now, when they read this budget, they go to the parliament. People don't go to the parliament just to dress up, you know, and to look nice and to zest and so on, you know. People are going there in your name. So when they spend $500 billion, you'll believe everybody who wants a job in the Horquetta Talparo will have a job. Am I correct? You think $500 billion could give you good roads and give you water and give you housing? But it's a matter of choices and a government's priorities. So a government could do as I heard somebody spoke about earlier on. I think it was my good friend Jerome working as an ad for me. He was talking about when the People's Partnership was in office, there were 100 keys being given out every week. That was a fact. But that was done deliberately. That was a deliberate policy of the government, who would have said, out of this money in the budget, we are going to allocate so much that we have a waiting list of over 200,000 citizens who will never own a home because the majority of them are working for $8,000 a month and less. So it means they need government intervention to purchase a house. And with the Housing Development Corporation, you could access a loan at 2%, which is much lower than the commercial banks. When you build, at the time, the policy was that basically you got the foundation free, which was equivalent to about 1/3 or 40% of the house. So it meant when you were lucky enough to get a HEC house and they tell you this house is $500,000, in fact, you were getting something at a value of $750,000. So you were really getting a part of the national pie in the form of a deep discount on the house. So should you go to TTMF also to access a loan for that $500,000, immediately you have an asset that is worth $750,000. So you could borrow a little more to expand your dining room or put in a bigger bathroom, you know, and add value to your asset. As a matter of fact, the government of the day then was so invested in ensuring that people had shelter that the then Prime Minister instructed me as the Managing Director of the HCC that everyone who lives in a HCC rental and had been living there for over 30 years, they should be given that house at $100. That is policy. That is policy in the interest of the people. The government cannot take the money in the central bank or in the treasury and just hand it to you without accountability. But what they do, they create goods and services that will make your life a little easier. But when you go to Mount Hope and have to spend 3 days on a bench, is that making your life easier? When you get home tonight, hopefully you'll get home safely. And you have to be up and down nervous because you're afraid that somebody will burst into your house that is locked up. Is that spending your money wisely? I'm not hearing you loud, you fall asleep or what? Yes. So, and these are just 2 areas. We talk about jobs, the lack of jobs, and Dr. Bandoo spoke about underemployment. When you go out there and you get your skills and so on, you go to school as they've asked you to do. But when you come to get a job, which, you know, either the government will provide or the government, by stimulating the private sector with whatever policies, will ensure that the private sector then could be the creator of jobs and opportunities, you can't get a job anywhere. Is that spending your $500 billion wisely? No. Well, Donnie spoke about change. And my good friend, Louis, spoke about change also. Because when you vote, the only tool you have really to get a chance, to get a foot up this ladder of opportunity, many of you, you don't have no uncle anywhere, no auntie anywhere, you have no minister really and truly, is when you go out there to put somebody in office. And when you do that, you say, listen to me, I cannot go myself, but I'm going to give you my proxy. That's what you do, you know. When you make up your mind to get off your bed and bathe and thing and say you go in any voting booth and so on, what you are doing in effect is to say, I cannot go, but I'm going to send you. But when you send someone, what you do, you hope and you pray that they will remember that you sent them. Am I correct? So the job that you were telling them when they were out of office that you need, the bus that wasn't coming, as Dr. Bandoo spoke about, the food that is too expensive now, and we have farmers who want to farm, and Donnie Rogers, who really helped us with that Project Hope. I mean, give him a round of applause. His heart is so big. Beautiful man. Beautiful, beautiful man. He didn't have to, and he did it. That's the generosity of our people. And I recall when we were doing that, some of the young men from the Horquetta said, we didn't know this thing was so nice. We never expected that we'll be so excited by agriculture. But what happened? All of that came to naught, and I'm not saying it's not because you have vote for the UNC. I'm saying because somebody did not take that idea and run with it. So that your excitement, the fact that you wanted to do this thing so badly, that just died on the vine like the tomato and whatever you turned your back on. Now, many of you are not getting, some people are in small businesses because our people are very entrepreneurial. Even at the community level, you know, you will go, you want to fix television, you want to fix washing machines, you want to buy food, you want to sell food, you're a good cook. And many of you have done that on your credit card because you know you can't access Forex. Because again, it's a secret. This is not an open system, this is a very closed system. And now what is happening? They are telling you that your credit card limit, they are lowering that limit. Isn't that affecting you? Is it affecting you? No, well, it ain't affecting the Horquetta Talparo. I'm very happy to know that. But that's the point. Because when the goods come to the border, you have these high taxes there. And then, you know, as soon as this government came in, what did they do? They added 7% on anything you have coming in. So you'll be there, you're seeing the thing down on Frederick Street, but on Amazon, you're seeing it is much cheaper. And even after all the taxes at the border, the customs and so on and transport, it is still cheaper. So you could still put a markup and sell it. You sell it out of the trunk of your car during your lunchtime or on the weekend and so on. And that money is the money you are using to pay the light bill, to pay the phone bill, because maybe the money you are earning, your salary, you are using to pay a mortgage, because that is how you do a budget. So this little extra is not to fun and dance, it's to do something specific. But now you have been priced out of the market because they have added a 7% tax at the border. How are you going to compete? You can't compete because you are paying on that credit card, or you might be buying money for an exchange black market at $7.5 or $8. How are you going to compete against the big business who getting access to the Forex at the going rate, 6 point whatever it is, 0.4 or whatever? You understand? This is how an economy works. And it could either work for you or it could work against you. And many times you don't even pick up that it's working against you. You just find that the money just ain't meeting. You're just going into the supermarket and you could buy less and less and less. And the danger lights are flashing. It is clear in terms of this whole Forex issue, what it means. We have to sell something. We don't do daily transactions in US dollars. We have our TT dollars. So to earn US currency so we can buy overseas, we have to earn it. And there was a time when we earned it how? Through the energy sector. Now that has dwindled, and our government has stood in their shoes and they have wondered. And they may go on to Scotland, you know, them right there in border Spain playing the ass, sorry. Right there, playing the fool. They're watching this thing dwindling. Because when it dwindles, the Forex gone. It's less and less and less. And that is why we are in the mess we are in. And you can't get any Forex. You have to send your child to school overseas. You can't get any if you're going, you manage to save up to buy a ticket to go to New York or Miami or Toronto. You just don't have. They tell you come for $100 a day or $50 a day and so on. And they brass face about it. Because the bulk of it is to give to God knows who getting that. Because it's a big secret. And then of course, we have our education system that is failing. And it's not just a story of woes. You see it in the newspapers, 50% of our students are failing. It means that your $500 billion, is it working for you? If you can't send your child to school and know that they'll come back safe, because you see the same thing I see on social media, that children are fighting in school. You think that could be fixed? Do you think that could be fixed? I mean, part of it is parenting, but part of it is what is happening in the school. And we are accepting these things as we sink lower and lower. Today I saw where, I think it was yesterday, we have 363 persons murdered. They're dead from cancer, hypertension, all these things that kill people, kidney failure. They died because somebody decided to take mainly illegal weapons and kill them. Mainly young black men. And that has been normalized. They're killing little children, 15-year-old young men, people who never lived and so on, and that's normalized. And you know what? That is a tragedy. But another part of the tragedy is that of all of that 363, or let's say of the one person, or of the 10 people, or 100 people, you know how much they're going to solve, they're going to detect? They're going to detect 13%. It means out of every 100 persons murdered, they will catch 13 people. So 87 walking around us now, looking normal. And of that 13, they are going to convict 3%. So it seems as if murder is the business. And that is why everything else going down and crime going up. Because your chances and the odds are better with that. So is your 500 billion working for you to secure you and to keep you safe? So you see, I don't have to go on and on because I am not really here to present. I'm just here to look at what our presenters have said and to show you that there's a contrast. There's a contrast and there is something you can do about your situation. You want to sit down and just wring your hand? Jerome Lewis spoke about when we walked around and what we saw. What I also saw is just prior to that election of 2020, I saw a big billboard went up, marked, Horquetta Talparo will become the Dubai of Trinidad and Tobago. Now I didn't only go to Singapore, I've been to Dubai several times, so I know Dubai. And Dubai have a man there by the name of Sheikh Maktoum, and he's a serious man, he runs Dubai. And Dubai is almost a first world country. The education system is first world, healthcare is first world, everything is first world. They have an airport, we have an airport, and we had CAL long before, or we at the time, long before they had Emirates. Emirates is now the #1 airline in the world, fighting up with Singapore, to be the #1 in the world. That's what these people do. Dubai is the best for education, the best for health, the best port, the best airline. In 2001, when we opened that Piaco International, the new, that new terminal on the northern side, the throughput was supposed to be 3 million passengers per year. Now this is 20, how much years now? About 25 years that has happened. We have about 2.7 million people going through there per year. You know how much going through Dubai? About 95 million a year. That is vision. That is hard work. Vision takes work. Vision is not about just old talk and rubbish and buffing people and flying up and down as they are doing first class. They fly up and down first class. But are you seeing all that flying up and down bringing anything to you? So are you better off after $500 billion have been spent? Exactly. And another budget will be ready in September or thereabouts. Another one coming. That they go in and spend 64, 65 billion again for the next year. You think any of that really will impact you personally? Will it? Because you know when they go to give you, for those of you who are working in the public sector, when they decide to give you a raise, so much you're getting? 4%. 4%. So I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and sisters, of La Horquetta. As Donnie, I think someone else said, you have choices, right? I don't want you to sit down and just wring your hand and wait for, you're looking for a savior, you're looking for Jesus. You have power in the choices you make. And sometimes the only choice and chance you have is through an election. And they have consequences. And just as the Prime Minister had advised, and very wisely, to choose your men wisely. I'll say in the upcoming, if that 500 billion did not work for you, you choose your man or your woman very wisely. So I really want to thank you so much. I want to thank you so much. Right, and now Jerome will come and do his thing.
Like a fool, I went and stayed too long. Now I'm wondering if your love's still strong.
Thank you. Let's hear it once again for Senator Jerlene John. Just before we go to the floor, I just wanted to highlight a point she made. She said, I live in Florida, which is true. Now, the government here tells you that people in the states pay property tax, so you should have property tax. But people in Florida pay property tax, but the road is not like in this Talparo road, right? In between you might see a little rough thing somewhere. But if you see a pothole in the morning, by the evening it's filled. They tell you that there's crime all over the world, so we shouldn't worry about crime. But I could tell you, and I was telling Donnie, farmers who come from way out in Florida into the city with their vans to sell milk and cheese and honey, they park up in a regular supermarket car park. So they go to Wesley Chapel, they park there, and the customers come, they have their credit card machine, and they punch. If you have cash, you do that. You could do that in Trinidad. Robbery. If the crime is too high, the sheriff is gone. He's gone out of office. So when people tell you that it has crime all over, you must also tell them that there are consequences for the people who are responsible for bringing the crime down. So we have in this town, and Senator may not like it, but if the commissioner is not working out, we have to get a new person who could bring the crime down. That's how it should be. That's how it should be. Because as Senator John said a while ago, you're going to have a new budget. They're going to tell you that they have how much billion for national security, but yet you're going to have more murders. And we hear all kinds of stories. They tell you, well, it's the parents to see about their children. Choose your man wisely. They tell you that it's your responsibility. But it's the responsibility of the TTPS to keep all of us safe. That's their job. That's their job. And if they're not doing that, then come 2025 or before, you know what to do. You've got to put people who know what they're doing. And that is the problem that we have right now. You've got to get good people who can turn things around in short time. And to bring this crime down, it's got to be radical. You've got to have some very serious policies to deal with that. So as we move into the segment for you, ladies and gentlemen, there's a mic right here on the center of the aisles. So if you have your suggestions, comments, let's just keep it clean. Don't libel anybody, don't slander anybody, because this is live and we don't have money to pay any lawsuits. So you can line up, step up to the mic, and make your contribution. Let's hear what you have for Budget 2024 coming out of La Horquetta Talparo, and you can give us your name before, and we'll be quite happy. Thank you.
Okay, good night. My name is Patricia Ballantyne. I live in Greenville. So I was ill recently for the past 7 days, and unfortunately I was was forced literally to attend the Arima Hospital, and it was really disturbing, the fact that the doctor prescribed a prescription that is not in the system for $400 and something, right? And the treatment was really poor. There was no medication. I had was to take Panadol because the pain was so intense. Yeah. I literally had was to use a family address in Grandy to go Grandy.
Which hospital is this, you said?
I'm speaking about Arima.
Oh, the new hospital?
Yeah, the new hospital.
The one that Mr. Warner said was
yes,
so
yes,
okay.
yes, that hospital I'm speaking about. And they prescribed a prescription that cost $400 and something. And when I asked the dispatch, why is this so expensive, they don't have it in the system either, right? So I wondered why they even prescribed it. Another thing is, I was supposed to get an ultrasound, and I was told it is better if I go and pay for it privately because it will take months to get one. I was told at least 6 months to get an ultrasound in Arima Hospital.
But
right?
do you have like a suggestion, anything for the budget you would like to share with us?
Yes, I would hope that some of the budget allocations for the health system returns to the health centers, because at one point in time the health centers used to open until 10 o'clock, if my memory serves me correctly, right? The one in Horquetta used to open until 10 and used to get your prescriptions. They didn't have a problem for that. So I hope some of the budget allocations could go towards extending the services and providing things like ECG, X-ray, and the ultrasound, which seems to be a problem currently.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to take the guy behind because we have a long line, so I want to give everybody an opportunity. But thank you so much for that contribution. Please come forward, sir. Just give us your name and you go right ahead.
Good evening all. My name is Kenny McIntyre and I live in the district in the Horquetta Talparo area. My issue is just one thing: crime. And with crime, there can be no sincerity, success, or anything else, because people will be living in fear. The people of Horquetta Talparo rely on the police to provide protection. Right now, the San Rafael police station is not operational. There's one station district to man the entire Horquetta Talparo, which is Horquetta itself. They are already on a strain, and it would be unfair to the officers there for them to man the entire district. It's useless. Yeah. Once in a week, you may see a patrol. You need to bring safety and security to the district, and to build trust and confidence in the TTPS. This is something that they have to close the gap.
Right.
Close the gap between the citizens and the protective services. And it's not to say that they don't have the resources. They have it. They have been paid. The commissioner is being paid in order to get these matters solved.
Yes.
If you don't have the competence, get somebody on board. You're the commissioner.
Well, the way you have to deal with that, you have to vote differently next time.
Most certainly.
You got to change it.
Most certainly. And long term. That's long term. But we're talking about now,
huge
a lot of persons going through a lot of pain. They are frightened. They are humiliated, afraid to walk the street. We need some sort of relief. And as simple as reinstating the San Rafael police station, it would give some measure of relief to start with. The long-term solution is that we have to put competent people in there. This is why we talk about
it won't be too long again, trust me. Thank you so much for your contribution.
You're welcome, sir.
Won't be too long. Yes, ma'am. Just give us your name. Go ahead.
Hi, good night. My name is Sharon Mohammed. I am the chairman of the London Wavell UNC.
Oh yeah, party. I've been to that up there. Yep.
I would like to speak about some of the issues that we are facing in London Wavell. One of them is the deplorable roads, and when I say deplorable roads, I know 75% of Trinidad and Tobago talk about bad roads, but our roads are so bad. We don't have proper transportation for people. People actually, if you're traveling, you have to hitchhike to Talparo and hitchhike back home from Talparo. Also, I'd like to touch on the landslides. we have a lot of landslides in Mountain Nuevo. One of them contributed to the condemnation of the Mountain Nuevo RC school. We have no school in Mountain Nuevo right now. The children of Mountain Nuevo are attending a school at Talparo. They share a small space at Talparo RC. Right. Due also to that landslide, the transport that normally picks up the children, they cannot even get to the children. So the children have to walk to meet the transport. Simple thing like the garbage truck, they cannot access the residents. So residents have to find different ways to dispose the garbage and all of that. Water is another issue. Yes, we have connection from WASA, but it's months and months and months, and we get no water at all. We depend on the rain. And during the rainy season, due to the roads, we can't even access truck-borne water. I'd also like to speak on behalf of the farmers of Mountain Nuevo. They need access roads to get their produce in and out from their lands. They're also facing issue with predial larceny. We have a lot of predial larceny in Mountain Nuevo. And as Mr. McIntyre just stated, our closest police station is at La Horquetta. And I think that we need a police post, definitely, at Talparo. We need something to be done about that.
All right.
Because of the fact that we need safety as well. You know, we might say it's a small community and we don't have a lot of crime, but we need police.
Well, look at it this way. If you have all those landslides and somebody's ill and you need emergency services, that's it.
No, we can't access emergency services, like a fire gets in something or an ambulance. It's very difficult to get to the residents as well.
And folks, all these problems, all these issues that are being raised here today by, thank you so much, by the folks tells you how voting has consequences. Because anytime you make an out, it's 5 years of this madness. Go ahead, sir.
Good night. I am Manmohan Gosain, the Vice Chairman of LHT.
Yep.
My concern is this tonight. We're looking at skilled labor, and I heard one of the presenters spoke about we have to import carpenters and that kind of thing. I am wondering, why are we not training our younger people to be certified in these fields? And the reason I am saying certified, so they can compete on the job market to get a respectable pay. Because, you know, too many times our skilled laborers are looked as, you know, somebody on the roadside, and they take them to do the job and they are not paid fully for that job. I am saying they should be trained and certified, so when they face the job market, they can compete respectable for a day's pay. Thank you.
Right. And so the next speaker, I'll comment on that. Yes.
Good night, everyone. I am Barbara Akbar from the community of Wallerfield. I represent the farmers from the community of Wallerfield. One of our biggest issues is water. As a farming area, we does not get water for our animals. Farmers' animals are dropping down and dying. This is one thing I would like you all to look into. Secondly, a lot of predial larceny is taking place in the Wallerfield area as a farmer, right? Thirdly, bad road. Bad road. Lots of potholes in the road, and no one see after that. Thank you. That is
Thank you very much.
Hold on, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am. Hello.
I want to recognize. Go ahead.
To that last contributor, Wallerfield, Miss Wallerfield. Hello. Miss Wallerfield?
Yes, the lady in black, please. Mr. Donnie is trying to get your attention.
So please talk to me afterwards. I also sit as a director with the Agricultural Society, and we'll see what we could do for you immediately. Okay? Good. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. My name is Derek Walker, and my concern is Trinidad and Tobago's economy and the UNC's position with regards to the new player on the block called BRICS. I want to know what is the UNC's position with regards to our economy playing with BRICS as opposed to relying on the traditional markets such as the United States, etc., as it relates to economic matters. Because as far as I understand, BRICS enables countries to trade with their currency as opposed to having to buy US currency to trade. That's my
All right, well, I'm not an economist, but I can tell you in Florida, if I'm trying to get a pack of Crick's biscuit, I had to look for a Jamaican store or a Caribbean store, and when you do find it, it's in a little corner. So, but if I go to JTA here, or one of the big supermarkets, they have it all over. So this notion that somehow everybody loves Trinidad outside, I don't see that. But go ahead. Thank you.
Hi, good night. My name is Shakila, and I would just like to shed some light on youths and making a way for youths in our society. Yes. In my neighborhood or my community, I would say that I see a lot of persons, I myself studying to get my degree right now in computer science. Mm-hmm. What hope is there for me when I'm finished with this to go into a job or go into the field that I would have studied in? A lot of youths around me and persons my age would go from the age of coming out of school, let's say 16, 17, moving on to ages 30 to 33 without ever having a job that would sustain them or something that could really truly benefit them more so. Mm-hmm. So what can be done, whether it be social, recreational, or educational within the community that will boost youths and help us have some sort of stepping stone or some other place to go rather than coming out of school and staying at home or becoming victim to the streets then?
All right. Senator John will take
what
that.
I'm saying is,
yes, go ahead.
She's right. The point is, we have this one-trick pony all the time. I mean, energy served us very well. But now the world is changing. You're right about IT. We are now into artificial intelligence, AI, now creating all kind of havoc in the world. A lot of times you're calling some telephone for customer service. It's not a human being answering you, it's AI answering. And I think we have a great opportunity with all of our youths, so imaginative, to get into coding in school. You know, teach science, more science in school, get girls to love science. You know, so you're right, you keep on that the right track. What we have to do is to expand the economy to ensure we are part of this new economy. With all of these opportunities, we have companies all over the world that will go to India, Brazil, those same BRICS countries you're talking about, where labor is a little cheaper. Why can't they come to Trinidad and use the resources of our young people? Because we are teaching coding from the time you enter elementary school, for that matter, right? Using all of that imagination, right? Yeah.
Yes.
How do you learn coding and they have no laptops?
Exactly.
We also have to bring back laptops to
to
secondary school and tablets to primary school.
Yes.
Yep. And I would just add to that a very dangerous trend that I have seen with the MP for Horquetta Talparo. And he's in charge of a lot of programs, the government giving you this MOS program, whatever have you. All these programs have killed the skill set of all the young people in the country. Because a guy who could be a good joiner, who could read a tape, could tell you 1/8, a quarter, 3/8, a half, 5/8, 3/4, 7/8, 1 inch. You learn that as a skill. All these CPEP and major programs that are run by this MP and all these Trinidad concerts is what killing the young people from developing the true potential. And that is why, when the time comes, we have to change that. So that we could put real programs to elevate you to what Senator John and Khadija just said. AI, get you involved in robotics, things that you're using your head, your brain. Not hustling $20 an hour, going home at 10 o'clock. That is what is driving all this crime and all these inefficiencies across the country. So we have to fix it. But the only way we could fix it in the UNC, we have to have power to do that. So thank you so much. Next, please. Yes, sir.
Good night, everybody. My name is Giovanni Bain.
Yes.
In recent times, everybody would have been seeing on the social media a lot of vehicle laws being passed. And I even hear a ridiculous thing where they say the fighting crime. And I don't see how bubbles in your tent fighting crime. 3 demerit points. And from what I look at it is, somebody said earlier on, crime is our business. And it's not just a business for the people on the street, but for the people high up too. Because from when I look at it, bubbles on your tent is not a style. It's most likely because the person couldn't afford to replace the tent. So now since you can't pay like $300 to change your tent, you now have to find $1,000 to pay a ticket that you might get from the licensing officers. And then people might want to know, like, why the crime rate so high? Because it's not just murders, it's robberies, it's theft, fraud, all of these things. People trying to, some people might, just be bad people, and then it have other people that just have things to do. And apart from having children, having bills to pay that might be piling up, you might have loans, you might have people to pay back that you borrow money from, and then on top of that you get a ticket because my tent scratch up. Yeah.
No, you're quite correct. We have a lot of crimes. One of the major crimes in this that takes place, nobody pays attention to it. You buy a foreign used vehicle. After you have it for 10 years, you hear somebody else has the chassis number on the next vehicle. And the licensing office is asking you to scrap your vehicle because whatever happened. But it's a lot of stuff going on, and you're quite right. So thank you so much for that contribution. Yes? Next.
Hello, good evening. My name is Karim Prince. I represent Phase 1 Horquetta, but the whole of Horquetta Talparo is my home. What I want to reiterate, I want to reiterate the fact that the young lady just said it could be educational wise, it could be physical, football, it could be all these sorts of things. But what if when you wake up in the morning and you don't have nothing to eat, to go and study, right?
Yeah, that's a
so
good
sometimes,
point.
so what I want to talk about is like support groups, that kind of way, and it need awareness programs, ADP, things with teaching young parents, because we have a lot of young parents. These are the programs which will motivate the brain to think a certain way, positive, and that is what we're looking for. And after that, everything else will just fall into place, once the support is there.
Well, let me put it to you this way. Nothing falls into place by itself. Time is neutral. You have to make it happen.
Of course.
I grew up in a sawmill, Well, I know about it, log and dust and mill and that kind of thing, right? So I understand what you're talking about. But it doesn't happen just like that. You have to make it happen.
Of course.
And there are people who here right in this audience, when Senator John and I walked this constituency, I remember going to a house and the lady had just a curtain for the door. She didn't have a door. The step to go in was just 2 red blocks. But when we went inside the house, she had a uniform for St. Augustine girls for her daughter in that house. So they were thinking of the bigger picture, of the dream of how to lift that family out of where they were in the poverty. And I'm sure they're doing quite well today. So it doesn't happen with any magic wand. It happens with voting, precision, and determination.
Long time without voting, a community still used to bring up a child. Now you cannot tell a child nothing.
Okay.
Without the government, the community used to bring up the child. So it's up to, it's just parenting, it's just,
Right.
So at the end of the day, that is all I really come to say, and good night.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Before we go, I want to recognize Councillor Balmati Gosine, and I think I saw Dr. Kurt May, who's somewhere around. Let's just welcome them. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, good night all. My name is Kelvin Commoner. It's the first time I'm coming to a UNC meeting, okay?
Welcome.
Thank you.
And we want
Thank
your
you.
vote.
Well, according to
If
the
you don't
saying,
vote for us, we want that vote.
well, according to the saying, you know, when you try something, it ain't working out, you have to try something else.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping, I come here with a hope, I'm hoping that the people are serious. The people, because I mean to say, we elect people and they talk and they say, well, they're going to do this and they're going to do that and they're serious about this. But it's only a sort of BS, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I'm hoping that Ms. Jody John and you guys are serious so we can really get change. We can get something that the people can look forward to. That's what I want to talk about. Thank you so much.
I'm very serious, you know. I changed my flight to come here.
Well, I'm hoping, man. I'm just hoping like everybody else.
No, it's serious, of course, but thank you very much. Yes.
I am Akira Morales, and I would like to see more love and unity in Horquetta again. We would love to see more job opportunities for young people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We have someone else on the floor. One more.
Good night to the household of faith, UNC people. Right. My concern is a lot, but they say we don't have much time.
No, you have time. Go ahead.
Sure. All right,
Yeah,
hear
you have
this.
time. You don't have the whole night, but you have time. Go
My
ahead.
name is Neil Williams, introduction from Horquetta, right? You talk about the programs where you want to change. I think the program needs enhancement. It's not about change with certain things. We're asking about enhancing it. So when we get power, we hope that all you keep to all your word. That is all I say. God, again, my vote and my crew vote, we hear 100. You see the CPEP and them, that program, what the community work CPEP does be doing? And the compensation these parents carrying home. You understand? All eyes like a food what my boy talk about. Them can't afford it, but talk about the budget and the food prices. Make sure and raise them wages. You see the wages what people working for, brother man? We ain't going through that. Now here we're going out with me. I don't have the power in my hand. By the heart, if you understand what I say. So on the road with the company and the party, I had the heart for it. So when all you get the power, make sure and do these things. The farming projects we need that, the youths what the young lady talk about. That the generation and the disrespectful because how the home is. You understand? Me and our lady talking is disrespect from the street. And it started with the school law where they say you can't punish no child. You don't have to abuse that child, but you have to take away them laws, all them legislation and things, revise them. Right? That is what we need, revision on certain things. What run in the place right now. Be careful when you're revising it, because that is the future. How a teacher can discipline a child. You understand?
Yeah, listen, I understand everything. This lady here, Jolene John, Senator John and I.
Make sure and take them notes while talking about, brother man.
Yes, hold on. Let me just...
Right.
Hold on. Senator John and I walked this whole constituency. That would have been 20 for the 2015 election, general election.
Yeah.
And she didn't get the vote. So, and everybody come back now to complain. They didn't get this, they didn't get that. And if we give all your so and so and so. But vote on, if you want all these changes, this program, that program, you want more pay, you have to change the government.
Correct.
And give us the opportunity to fix that.
Yes.
But all this talk about you want this, you want, it ain't happening because this lady, Ms. Senator John, was there and she promised on election day, she said the next day she was going to be in her office at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Remember that? 4 a.m. She promised that. She was going to mobilize, get all this stuff done in the schools, the roads. She started one of the first agro programs in this constituency, this lady. And all didn't give her the vote. She didn't get it.
All right.
So when you sit down tonight and other nights, you all have to forget this 60-year project you all have been voting. You have to vote for good people.
Correct. Thanks.
Forget that.
Listen.
That's the way it is. Okay, we have the
Good night, everyone. I'm Balmati Gosain, a resident of Las Lomas. And I want to touch on the issue of flooding within the La Horquetta constituency. During the dry season, we would have not seen any type of cleaning of water courses within this constituency. And as a result, we are not even in the heart of the rainy season, and already you're seeing flooding. I believe I speak for Greenvale and Las Lomas here tonight, because today, where we could have purchased a bed, when we lose our furniture and appliances in flooding, you would have gotten one for about 500. Today is in the thousands, and I want this government to really take flooding serious and start to clear the water courses. Whatever little that they are doing right now, you know, they're just like, you know, those chicken when they're scratching, and that is not going to help us at all. So I want this government to release funding to the necessary cooperation to help with the issue of flooding within this constituency and Trinidad as a whole.
Thank you very much. Is that it? We are, okay, so we are. So I think that's the final speaker, your counselor. Senator John, you have any final words, or I just wrap it up? Sorry? Good. So folks, I think this was a good audience tonight, and I want to thank you, or we want to thank you for coming out, participating in this live stream, giving your views, your comments, and let's keep it positive. Hopefully, as we go along, we'll be able to hear more suggestions, more ideas. I want to thank our presenters, Mr. Donnie and Dr. Bandoo, yes, for those two, for that eloquent contributions that they made earlier on. I want to thank Senator John for her contribution as well, and all of the people who would have worked behind the scenes to make tonight possible. We also want to say a special thank you to WAC 90.1 Radio for the live stream on the unc.tt.org. And have a good night, everyone.